Welcome everybody to eVision Live with Dr. Alexandra Kleeberg
and Dietrich Becker. And today we have some special guests from the Self-Health Institute near San Francisco. It's Antonia von Becker and Greg Lee.
So welcome Greg and Antonia. Happy to have you with us today. So we're going to discuss with you actually about the Self-Health Institute and what is actually what are your visions, what are your objectives that you're following and how you're doing it, and also how you got there.
Exactly. What I remember is that you started as normal practitioners, and then there was a magic moment when you founded an institute, Self-Health. Is that your story, or what is your story?
Story there. First, it's so great to be with you guys.
Thank you.
After meeting you and starting this relationship, it's just so great to be able to communicate and to be on your program. Thank you.
Across the globe.
Across the globe, yes, we are nine hours apart in time.
Right. Yeah. Self-health was a vision of ours as we had been many years into our one-on-one practice, their healing business, and we were working with practitioners, teaching a practitioner certification program. And it really came to us that what the people we were training were really wanting was to be able to heal themselves and to take that information and also heal their families. So we really started to develop and nourish this idea of working with groups of people to be able to heal them and teach them how to heal themselves in the process. And now that's what we're doing, is with online programs and group coaching to be able to teach people how to heal themselves. Yeah.
How it all started was actually before we started the Institute, was when Greg got healed. And why don't you tell him what there was that moment when we discovered, oh my gosh, this is what we need to bring to the world.
Yeah.
This is a story actually we wanted to hear.
Yes, it's a healing story.
Yeah. So I'd been on a business trip in Frankfurt. I was at Music Messe, which is the international music trade show.
Yeah.
And I came home and I had really serious digestive problems, so much that I went to the doctor, and I rarely went to the doctor, so it was really a big deal. And what I came out with that was 6 months later, 4 different prescription medications, 3 specialists. I still had all of the symptoms and was not doing well. In fact,
we actually thought he had pancreatic cancer and that they just hadn't uncovered it yet. So he was getting thinner and thinner and kind of wasting away before our eyes. And we were all very worried.
Of course, being the eternal optimist, I didn't feel that way, but if I looked at my body, it definitely was getting smaller. And after this last time of seeing the doctor, he said, Greg, there's nothing medically wrong with you. I don't even have a diagnosis for what your symptoms are. And I thought, this is crazy. And I left the medical foundation that day. I took the current prescription that I was taking, I threw it in the garbage. And I drove off, and being starving as I was all the time because I wasn't holding any food, I stopped at a new store called Whole Foods Market. At that time, it was 1991. And I was grazing the aisles of cookies and pastries and bread, and came face to face with a teacher that I had in 1977. And at that time in 77, she had just started something called bioenergy balancing and done a demo in my massage class. She was one of the massage instructors at the Palo Alto Massage School. And she came face to face with me and said, I said, Priscilla, I've been meaning to contact you. And she said, I know your pancreas is in trouble.
She knew that.
She was very intuitive. And I called her office, I made an appointment, and I went, and she did some muscle testing of the minerals and vitamins that are involved in digesting food and all of the things that our pancreas and liver and duodenum do. She found that I was deficient in not assimilating a number of things. She did some energetic balancing. And after that 90-minute session, I left and never had this digestive problem or any symptom of it again. But that was really it was a significant turning point. What was interesting is like, what did she do? Yeah, it was interesting. I had kind of remembered back to 1977 watching the demo that she did in our massage class. And when she was working on me through this 90 minutes, she and we also work 2-on-1 actually when we're doing clinical work. And she was talking to my body, asking it how it was assimilating the food that I was eating, if I was using the vitamins and minerals that were coming in my food. And then when my body would respond, no, I'm not doing that well, she would say, is there something energetically happening in your body that's causing that problem, or that's part of that? And then I didn't really know what she was doing. But she was touching my body and running energy. So I learned many years later, as I started doing her practitioner's training program, that she was running meridians and undoing blockages that were keeping me from being able to assimilate the resources that I was getting in food. So that was the nuts and bolts of what happened. I left that session truly amazed at what had happened in this simple process. And it really sparked an interest that developed over a few years. And then as Antonia and I began to exit our corporate jobs that we had at that time, our interest in health and wellness and the human body really came to light. And we became practitioners and certified in this process that she taught. At the same time, I also renewed my interest in massage and had found some Hawaiian master teachers and learned the art of lomi lomi at that time. It was really a
one-to-one work which you did, and you helped the client. It was not that you helped the client to help themselves, right?
At that point, yes, that's all our one-on-one work is basically healing them. And so, and it remains that way to this day. And we actually include that in our online courses at this point. And we also do 20-minute rapid relief healing sessions, sometimes as a bonus, where we can really get right in there and just help heal people so that they have instant relief. We can help them get rid of allergies to foods, whatever, plants, all those kinds of things, negative associations, relieve old traumas, things like that, and physiological issues. So that is helping or healing people is part of the process of what we do so that they can feel that relief right away and get a feeling of what it will be like when they are able to do it for themselves.
It's also
healing somebody and helping them to self-heal as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
First
and
they have to get healed before they can bring it into their families or into their groups.
Well, I think it is really part of having them understand what it is and how it feels. If you don't know how something feels or what it is, then it's very hard to do it for yourselves. So then we give them the example of what it is and show them how to do it and for them on themselves, and then teach them the continuing process. Because, in our lives, there's so many things that have happened to us from when we were very, very young, all these experiences, and many people have had a lot of traumatic experiences or even experienced the experiences that were just difficult. And so there's so much stuff to heal and so many experiences that impact our physiology that it's not like you can do everything in an hour and a half. You know, we took 50, 60 years to get here. It's not going to undo in 20 minutes, right? So there's a lot of levels that we can help them get over some of the obvious things and then help them learn how to dig deeper into some of the other things.
What I really liked about your work is that put the body in the center and the healing power of the body. We don't need doctors, we don't need medication, right?
Right. But I think what is also important is that we're not saying never go to the doctor, never do this, anything. We're really co-practitioners with them because penicillin is a great thing. You know, when you have a broken leg, unless you have someone who's really good at bone setting, doctors are fantastic for a lot of things. So we're not talking about taking their place. We're just talking about having people take control of those things in their lives that they can shift radically in the moment to make them feel better, whether it's changing their mood, changing the way that they make decisions, changing how they feel and their emotions, or getting rid of a headache, getting rid of, you know, helping them get their immune system raised up so they can get rid of a cold, things like that, you know, so working co.
You're dealing with the so-called, we call it civilization diseases in Germany. It's not an accident. It's not when you get a real tough infection, but all these diseases that are in between that.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've also found quite a bit of family kind of like conditioning. And so it's generational, it's ancestral, where there's certain traits that come forward through parents especially, because as they begin to have children, the lessons that they learned from their parents that they didn't consider much start to come forward and be imprinted on their children. And we find that that's actually a very powerful positive and negative area for people as they begin to become aware of how their life has affected them and how their body has reflected their experience into the level of health that they have.
And that's what's so interesting too, is how the scientific data, you know, people say, oh, well, that's genetic. I have that, I inherited that gene. And maybe it's about alcoholism, or maybe it's about having suicide in your family. They talk about how there's an inherited trait to that. But what the scientific evidence is really showing is that those things are changeable. You can actually change your DNA, change that pattern, that generational pattern that exists, so that you don't have to follow the same track that your parents and grandparents and their parents have followed all that time. And back to what you were saying, Alexandra, about what I so love is that how the body is the center of it, and how what we get such great joy out of and have so much fun when we're working with people is that your body has its own mind, you might say, right? And it's not this. Right? It's not it's so different than your brain. It's what your body wants. And we love to follow what your body wants. And everything that your body wants is what tells us, directs us to what we do. We never do anything the body doesn't want to do. We just go where the body says. And I think you guys do that too.
The magic of the body. And I think there is also an intelligence of health, or an intelligence of healing. The body can do it, but the mind has to be prepared not to control the body, but to open the body for healing.
Yeah. Well, and that's another part of that interplay, right? Because when we're with our methods, we talk to the body. And so a lot, we'll say, body, what do you know, can you do this? Can you do this? Or do you believe this? And then we say, brain, you know, do you believe this? And there's sometimes two different answers, right? Many times two different answers. And that's where it's so fun, because people can really get the awareness of that separation. And then, okay, that monkey brain isn't necessarily what we need to fix the body. Let's talk to the body, let the body lead, and the brain will follow, because the brain is so good.
Do you talk to the body as a whole, or do you talk to certain organs? Like when Greg had this problem with the pancreas,
did you talk with the pancreas?
Did you talk with it, or did you talk with the body as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be specific with the body, because the body is so functional in its way that it addresses what needs to be done. So we look at the body as a kind of an all-knowing organism. So when we do specifically talk to, when we need to address an organ, we talk specifically to it.
Hey,
we'll
pancreas.
Say, hey, liver.
Hey, liver.
Is it okay if we talk with you? And the liver is going to say, yes, I've just been waiting for you to address me directly.
I'm kind of mad right now.
I'm so glad. Yeah. So we teach people to do that, because in being able to identify what's going on physiologically, people will then be able to address the energetics of that physiology, because our body energetically does service our organs through our energetic system. So it's kind of like the front line is to ask the anatomical parts, what's going on here? And then they'll say, yes, now you're asking the right questions, and it will, then we go straight to, how can we help you? Would you like us to run a meridian?
Because as you guys know, the meridians are all helping the organs, and each meridian, energetic meridian, services different organs and different systems in the body, so that when we talk to those organs, we talk to the liver, and we can say, oh, would you like to run the liver meridian? And the liver meridian is so often associated with anger. And so many people have problems with anger these days, and especially in the US right now. So it really is somewhere that we need to look at, and people need to look at, okay, is that my reaction? Do I react with anger? Is that that first reaction, or is that first reaction with fear? You know, or what is your mental and emotional setting point that you go to? And that set point is really probably where you've had the most trauma, where a lot of your energetic blockages lie. And so if you're always afraid, if you're always going to fear, then the first thing to do is start clearing your bladder meridian to alleviate those blockages, that stuck energy in your bladder meridian, and start lifting all of that energetic weight, that baggage, as people call it.
That's the second step. The first step is talk to the organ, and then the second step is to energize the meridian. Did I get that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's really important. We find that the body has a very specific order in which it wants to kind of unravel the solution and communicate what it wants to have done. And awareness is the key, because as people are communicating with their bodies and understanding really how they feel, then the body can really open up and tell us what's most important, as far as, you know, I mean, even to many times people will say, well, can't I just wake up in the morning and run all my meridians? And doesn't that just function as well? And yes, that is helpful. It's the same, if I could make an analogy to meditation. If you meditate every morning, you're going to get a really good response in your body of being calm, maybe. But lowering your blood pressure, whatever it might be. But if you meditate with some specific thing in mind, like maybe I'm grateful for what I have. It's a different focus. So when we talk with the body and we allow the body to really designate what the focus will be, then we get a really the optimal result from that.
So in answer to your question, really, we let the body tell us what it wants to do. And sometimes the body will just say, no, I want to run my bladder meridian right now. We have many people that just get on the table and that's the first thing they want to do is run the bladder meridian and do certain meridians because that's where their set points are. Other people have very distinct, other people's bodies have very distinct wishes and they want to go to a certain, to a certain organ, and then we'll do it that way. So it's really directed by the body, and our real gift is in how to ask the questions of the body so that it can give us the optimal information to alleviate that energetic baggage.
Great, and you teach that to people, so people can talk with their bodies themselves, and they can work with their meridians themselves. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes. So everything that we do in our one-on-one practice, with the exception of some more advanced physiological things where we're talking more on a molecular level, we teach people. So it's anytime you hear us say we're doing this with someone in a clinical setting, it's also something that we teach them how to do on their own. But it's also important to give them support. So when we're doing our online program work, we always make sure that we have group calls where people can ask questions, and we have a Facebook group so that they can present questions and get answers, because it's easy to get stuck at first.
Yeah.
As I was saying, with our expertise is knowing what questions to ask. Well, if you get stuck and you don't know what the question is, it's pretty hard to talk to your body. So we try to keep it simple, so that people can get results quickly.
And the other difference there is that we teach people how to use a pendulum to talk to their body. So when we work 2-on-1 with someone, we muscle test.
So our people can see it?
Yes. Oh, I don't have, oh dear.
No problem.
No problem. That's just an idea.
Yeah, so we have all sorts of pendulums, and we actually give pendulums away as part of one of the gifts of our program, is so everyone has one. And we teach them how to get yes/no answers, and then how to ask the questions about a whole assortment of whether it's, right at first, obviously, we keep it more on an emotional, energetic level, but as we're developing our programs, we've realized that people want to get more deeper into the physiology, more into the molecular, structure, the chemical transfers and things like that. And so that's a more advanced class that we're actually starting to develop now. So
what's your big vision?
Well, our mission in the world is to put healing back into the hands of families, into the hands of parents to help their children, and into the communities so that people can direct their lives, can have that healing and really emotional awareness that directs the healing on a very personal level. Because we all know ourselves better than anybody knows us, right? So we know where to go, where those tough times, where those horrible things happened in our lives that are creating those physiological issues. That's our belief, is that those old traumas, those old difficult circumstances affect your physiology in the long run. And there's a lot of studies that are proving that out already. So that has a scientific basis. And so knowing those traumas, when they happen, what happened, and how they impacted you, and knowing yourself, giving yourself that emotional awareness so that you can go, oh, I'm going to fear again, or I'm going to anger, you know, and I need to clear those meridians. I have such a headache because I'm so mad, you know, and then you clear away those blockages, your headache goes away. So we want to get that power into each person's hands, into the families, into the communities, so that we can all direct our self-healing. And as we heal ourselves, we heal the people around us. Yeah. We heal our communities, our city, our country. And we want to start that grassroots movement and take it global. Right?
Right.
Bringing it to families, we are into school projects to bring it to kindergarten and schools. The children just learn this at a very early age, because it's very easy once you know what to do. And children don't have problems to talk with their organs. They don't think it's weird. They are just doing that naturally when you teach them that. So I love that idea, and I wish you all the best. And you start a program now where people can participate, right? It starts quite soon.
Yeah, so we are actually doing a challenge. It's a 5-day free challenge on Facebook.
It's free for 5 days.
Free for 5 days, and it's called the Prosperity Clarity Challenge, and it's helping people.
Clarity Challenge. Okay.
Prosperity Clarity. So what that is what is your vision of prosperity? Does your prosperity, it's not necessarily just business, right? It's not just about money. It might be about health. It might be about relationship. What is your vision of prosperity? And then how do you make decisions to get to that vision? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So in those 5 days, we'll be guiding people to awareness of what their vision is of their life at the moment, and then guide them to more of an understanding of what they want, and then what questions they might ask to be able to find out if their body really agrees with them as far as what's best for them. Because so many times our impetus in life, the reason we do things, is based on something that is outdated, that no longer serves us in a way that our body is going to reflect health from the actions that we take.
Or it's even something that maybe it's somebody else's idea of prosperity, and maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe working, 70 hours a week doesn't work for you. Or maybe having a certain lifestyle isn't really what you need. And so people really prosper when they are in line with what their body and how their body, mind, spirit works together. So the challenge is really to help people get straight on what they really view as prosperity, and then helping them figure out how to make decisions that will lead them to that prosperity.
It's an online program for 5 days with 5 videos, or is there a chat or a talk, or what is included?
That's all lined up in the program. So it's a very simple thing. Yeah, we send out videos. We have a Facebook interaction. There's a on the Thursday, there is a live call, and we do prizes. It's fun, you know, there's little homework assignments, but they're very easy, but you know, it's made so everybody can stay accountable to each other, and you get prizes if you participate, you know, or so, you know, we draw a prize winner. And then you come out of it with a very clear idea of where to go, with your prosperity.
Where can I subscribe?
So I sent you a link. Yeah, I sent you a link in the email, and maybe you could post here.
Yes.
We can put
Yeah.
it in the chat, maybe. We put it in the chat, or we just can you just tell me the link?
And what are the days?
So it will start on
The 21st of
the
January.
21st of January.
Okay.
And let me find so I sent you it in, let's
Can you put
see.
it in the chat?
Okay, I gotta get it. Here, wait. Okay, let me put it in the chat to everyone. There we go.
Okay, so it is, okay, we will post prosperity clarity, clickfunnels.com. Okay,
Right.
so
I will be in. How about you?
https://a1becker.clickfunnels.com/prosperity clarity. Okay, so hopefully everybody can get that. And 21st of January. So you will have to really to relate to the dates. It's not, you cannot start later or earlier. So it's just 21st to 26th, right?
Actually, you can start right up to you can start whenever you want during the challenge. You can start late.
Yeah.
But
So
it is a set 5 days, but you can start on that Friday because all the videos will be given to everyone during that time period.
it'll be available until the 27th
The Sunday
at
at 5 or something
5
like that.
p.m.
When the grand
Pacific
prize
time.
drawing is.
Oh,
And
okay.
on Thursday is the chat, the live chat, Facebook
Yep,
chat.
at 1 o'clock p.m.
So
Pacific.
that's the 24th.
Yes, and all that information will be in an email that goes out as soon as you sign up. People could also join our Facebook group, which is Vibrant Healing Wisdom, and that's in Facebook. Yeah.
About an hour ago.
Great. Yeah, Vibrant Healing Wisdom, and that's where the challenge will take place.
Great.
So they can join that group and then join the challenge from within that group.
Okay.
I love your vision. I love your work. If I have some time, I'd like to translate this into German, but that might take a while because I'm very busy too. I thank you so much for the insight in your work, and I think it's very, very aligned with our vision to bring health back to the people as a grassroots movement. And our big, big vision is that everybody on this earth knows how to self-heal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. It was really great having you with us. I think it was very useful for everybody watching us. And so if anybody has questions, then you please put them down here underneath then on the comments, and Antonia and Greg, and we will get back to you on that. So, and we had Antonia and Greg from the Self-Health Institute. Thank you so much for being with us. And yes, hope to see you.
It was our pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Open your heart and start.
Okay.